Guys Teach.
All right. Welcome to Old Guys Teach. Woo! Still kicking ass.
Hello.
Hey, Emily, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing today?
Oh, I could not be better. So today is lesson 3 in Pop Star U, and we're going to cover breaking through to the other side. That's right. Break on through to the other side.
Very important stuff. Very important stuff.
All right. Well, what do you got to say about that, Em?
So breaking through locally is super important. I kind of always had the mindset with my career that I wanted to break through locally first. I know a lot of people will go to California or go to Nashville, which are great options, and maybe that's for you. But I always had the mindset that it would be very challenging mentally being in those spaces with all that super high competition. And also, it's super expensive to do that. So in my mindset, I thought it's perfectly reasonable to try to break through locally, because if you can do that and stand out more in your community, you have this opportunity to be this big fish in a small pond. And also, if you can garner the support of your peers and of your community, they can assist you in kind of pushing you out into a bigger sphere. So that was always my mentality with that. Now, if you are totally starting from scratch, I think that the biggest piece of advice for a new artist is the importance of networking, making friends and connections locally in the musician groups. So this means doing a lot of work for free, going out to open mics, going out to jam sessions, talking to people. Me personally, I had a little bit of a unique situation because I think I mentioned before I've worked in the hospitality industry, which is very common if you are an artist, because it's usually flexible hours and quick money. So I was actually at a hotel that, weirdly enough, featured live music and up-and-coming talent. So that was a bit of a unique situation for me. So I made a lot of my initial connections, but the same way, just by talking to people. So anytime the musicians would come into play, I would make sure to leave with a friend. And that's what I did. Yeah.
Wow.
But,
that's funny because even in the old days, before we had the internet and everything, you still had the network, and
yes.
Back then you would do it at sites. You would go to places where musicians hung out, so you go to the music store. That was a great place to meet people, just hang at the music store or the back in those days you had a record store, and that was definitely a great place. But there's still music stores, although I understand Sam Ash is no longer, but they are
a little bit different.
Yeah,
but a guitar center, go wander
at least
around.
They're around for now anyway. But
yeah.
You've got the right idea. Go and hang out with musicians and talk to people
for sure. If you're a new act, there's a lot of groundwork that happens before you can get into getting paid for gigs. And every city, big or small, has to have some type of music community. So you got to get in there. I remember when we started our band, Sure Thing, we had all played paid gigs before, but this band was new. So before we get a paid gig, what we had to do was we did a couple charity fundraisers for free. And I made that connection through the local music community and got the opportunity to play that show. And we actually used that show to get footage to then be able to pitch ourselves further. So, there's a little bit of humility that comes into play when you're a new actor or a musician starting out. Sometimes you need to use those free gigs to be able to build your resume.
That is brilliant advice. And I tell that to a lot of my customers because I build sites for people all the time. And I was like, you need content, you need footage. And the best way to do that is to set up a free gig, get your friends together, get them in a cool environment, get them all dressed up, get a bunch of people with their iPhone cameras out there and shoot the heck out of it. and that stuff is golden, and you just
Mhm.
should do that every time you play. But set up your own, if you have to at first. If you can't get that foot in the door, create your own, space in your job. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, volunteering like that with those, especially the charities, because they're hungry for people, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of, you can go right to the charities and ask them,
100%.
hey, you got something coming up? Go to the old folks, the AARP or the hospitals. Oh my gosh, I used to do, of course, I did children's entertainment, magic and stuff. And I would
Mhm.
go to the children's hospitals and go, bed to bed and just do it for free. But I'd be handing out my card as I went. And let me tell you,
100%.
you
100%.
can absolutely do that if you're a singer. You could just go in there and just, maybe have a little backing track with you, and you just sing to them. For goodness sake, how
Mhm.
beautiful is that? And what a great way to make contacts, and it's such
Yeah.
good karma.
Yes. Yep, that too. So 100% you have to get out there and do the nitty-gritty work in order to push yourself forward. And we mentioned that's the stuff you put on your resume. And moving forward with that, you need that content, especially to be able to get press, which is another thing that's going to make you stand out locally. So in order to get press, that involves reaching out to different outlets. And as a musician, your resume is something called an electronic press kit or an EPK.
Mhm. Mm.
So, depending on your objective, the EPK might look a little bit different, whether it's an EPK for a new release or to try to get an interview. It's essentially the same thing as a resume. So, it includes things like press photos, which would be professional looking photos that represent you as an act. It would include a little bit of background information. If it was about a particular release, it would include the details,
Mm.
like the key of the song, the lyrics in the song, the cover
Mm.
art, the MP3, all wrapped up into one. So this is what you send out to these different contacts. So whether you're
Mm.
trying to get your name out there and get an interview, you send it out to different local radio stations or different podcasters or music blogs. And when you start to secure those type of things, that press is going to give you a bit of I want to say kind of clout locally.
Mhm.
And it just once you start to get that recognition, people start respecting you more. Your
It's a
peers start
snowball too.
respecting you more. Exactly.
Yeah, and the more you
100%.
do, the more it adds up, and you hit on it too with those podcasts, because everybody and their brother and father and grandfather is doing podcasts these days, but they're out there, and there's some great ones locally, and you don't even need to be local. Look at us, we're coastal, and
Right.
we're doing
Right.
podcasts. So reach out to find these podcasts that you like. Go on YouTube, check out,
Right.
just search a phrase that you want to find, and find somebody and reach out to them. You'd be amazed. They're
Yep.
hungry for
Mhm.
people to talk to, and but you can do that. There's a lot of
Yeah.
creative ways to do that, and you
Yes.
really hit on it very well.
Yeah.
What about
So
is there anything that you can do, like, just with, just to start with just your existing fan base? How do you get them to come into it?
I would say one of the biggest things is social media with connecting with your existing fan base, which I know we're gonna get into in detail later, but your presence on social media to actually that is how I got my first ever gig for a band, if I recall correctly. It was I had posted like some little singing videos of me like in my bathroom just singing. And I had started my just friends around me started supporting me. And I had gotten a new job at this hotel that I mentioned that books live music. And my manager saw one of my videos that I posted. And she said, "Hey, we have to book you at the hotel." And that's how I got my first ever gig. So I would say for your creating a community with your existing fan base, social media is going to be the biggest thing.
Hmm.
So make sure you are on there. Make sure you're posting content. All your information is up to date. And I say that's definitely where to start.
Excellent. Really
Mhm.
good stuff. Wow, and this was terrific. So, let's kind of recapping it once again. As far as breaking through the other side, utilize your existing fan base,
Mhm.
create that press kit, get it out there to everywhere you possibly can.
Yeah.
Volunteer, network. Bing, bing, bing.
Yes.
That's the key right there. Network.
Yes, and in regards to the press kits, I'm sure we might be able to provide a couple links down below of examples of what that might look like, because I think that that is one thing that's super foreign lingo to people, an EPK, and people have no
Right.
clue what it's supposed to look like. So we'll include some information down below just to kind of help guide you in that aspect too.
Yeah, there's a great one I use called Bandzoogle.
Mhm.
Bandzoogle, and they've been around forever, and they can do an EPK. It's like they have the templates, very professional. My suggestion as a graphic artist is keep it simple, stupid.
Yes.
Less is more.
Mhm.
Let them keep them guessing a little bit. You can use stock photo. You don't have to be you or face. It could be a silhouette of someone on the stage, but it's just got to have that look, that really pro look that Emily touched on our
Professional. Mhm.
exactly. But great stuff, everybody. We certainly appreciate you checking it out. Emily, we'll be doing, like she said, coming up in the future. We've got a social media cast we're going to do. We're going to heavily get into that. We'll talk about building our team, getting into actually producing content, which is producing everything, which is a lot. And then
Mhm.
eventually maybe, launching your site, your product, and then going from there, booking that giant gig in the sky.
Oh yeah.
There you
Well,
go.
thank you for having me today.
All right, everybody. A round of applause for Emily. Thank you so much, everybody. We love you. And remember, rock on, everybody. Woo-hoo. Oh, guys, rock. Woo. Take care now. Goodbye.
Vámonos there, compadre.